folks, welcome back to the channel. This is basically part two of two gift requests that Jeff Cather made. I did Shelley Wright's song, The Bumper of My SUV. And touching, moving, beautiful, unique, gorgeous, patriotic, personal, and so appropriate in so many ways. And now Jeff had made a gift to the channel for me to do the story behind the making of The Bumper of My SUV, or the story behind the song, The Bumper of My SUV. It's going to set some context, because I know I had questions about, well, who is Shelley Wright? Where has she been? I don't mean in a negative way. I mean, just legitimately curious, like, who is she? We know a little bit about, her grandfather served, her brother served. She'd been to many places. In the song itself, if you haven't seen it, the prior song, she'd been to the DMZ, the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. She'd been in Iran. She'd been around the world to Hiroshima. Of course, that's not hard to get to. I mean, you got to take a long flight, but that's where we dropped the first nuclear bomb in World War II on Hiroshima. Fat Boy, I believe was the name of it. The Enola Gay dropped it. And I don't know what the aircraft's name was that dropped the one in Nagasaki, but that basically put an end to the war in Asia, certainly with Japan. And then the European theater was a bit different with Germany and Italy and so forth. But I'm curious, really curious. So, Jeff, thank you for this gift and for the education on this.
I'll tell you the story about Bumper of My SUV, and I really find it impossible to sing the song without telling this story. Before my brother went off to the war in Iraq, he mailed me a round red Marine Corps sticker, and I went outside and put it on my vehicle. It's the only sticker I have on my sport utility vehicle, and I put it there. And I went about my business like everybody else, but I was very aware that my brother was going into a war situation. Although he'd been in for many years, 14 years at the time, he'd never been in any kind of serious conflict situation. So I was scared. And then I had the chance to go into Iraq and Kuwait, Baghdad, Talil. I went into those places in 2003. Were any of you there at BIOP in 2003?
A lot.
We were at Baghdad International. It was Kid Rock and me and Jesse James from Monster Garage. It was cool. It was really hot and really, really scary. So I got back to Nashville after having had that experience. I had all of that in my heart and in my head, and I was driving down West End there in Nashville. It's the main road that runs through Nashville, connects downtown to the residential area. And a lady in a minivan, I swear, she flipped me the bird. She gave me the middle finger. And at first I thought, okay, I cut her off. I'm not a very good driver, which is true, I'm not. But we got up to a red light, and I didn't want to look over at her. She was next to me then, and I could see her gesturing, and I thought, there's no way I'm looking over at her. I'm not going to rumble with the soccer mom. Get my butt kicked. So finally I did look over, because she was making such a brouhaha over there, and she said, roll down your window. Roll down your window. So I rolled it down. And she yelled at me. She had a vein popping out of her forehead. Jesus. And she yelled at me and pointed to the back of my vehicle and said, your war is wrong. She said that, and it freaked me. I mean, I'm sure this has happened to some of you guys and maybe your family members, but it totally floored me. It upset me. I wanted to take her and go to a Starbucks or a Green Beans coffee and talk to her and tell her who I am, not as a celebrity, but as a person. I wanted to tell her about the places I'd been and the people I'd met like you and the questions that I had about everything. And I wanted to tell her, look, lady, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm an American. I've never stated a political affiliation. The one thing I've always said is that I'm an American and I support my troops. And so I did what any good country singer does. I went home, put my purse down in the kitchen, went to my music room, and I wrote a song about it. Now stick with me, this is where it gets tricky. That was June of 2003. I wrote the song that day.
First, she's a really good storyteller. She's a very good, she has a gorgeous singing voice. but she has an equally beautiful speaking voice. Not everybody has that.
Hit record on my little recorder there, and I forgot about the song. June of 2003, a whole 16 months went by. September of 2004, Lonnie and I and the band were getting ready to come back over to Iraq for another tour. And I happened to find that song. I was cleaning out my computer there, and I found a song called Bumper, and I was like, what is that? So I listened to it, and I thought, okay, that doesn't stink. So I burned a copy and put it in my backpack, and off to Iraq I went. We were about to do the first show. Actually, we were at Camp Arifjan in Kuwait, and I handed the disc to my guitar player at the time, a guy named Clay. I said, Clay, just learn this. You and I might do it acoustically, just you and I, but I doubt it. Just learn it. And by the way, band guys love that when you hand them a song right before the show. So he learned it, and we ended up doing it that night at the show. And it was primarily Air Force guys and Army guys that night. And I said, do you guys want to hear a brand new song no one's ever heard? And they said, yeah! And they barked at me.
Hoorah!
And they ooh-rah'd me. And so I did the song, right? And I said, you know what? I could lie to you and tell you in the song that I've got an Air Force sticker or an Army sticker, but I don't. Do you still want to hear it? I'm talking about a Marine Corps sticker. And they said, yes, ma'am, do it. So we did the song, and it went over really, really well. And after the show, we signed autographs, as we will do tonight. And we sign, and we hang out, and we talk till all of you are gone. And it's the best part of the trip. The shows are fun, but the best part of the trip is getting to meet you and talk to you guys. So after the show, the military folks were saying what they always say. By the way, the military is the greatest crowd to play for on the face of the planet, the most appreciative. And they were saying, ma'am, thank you for coming, like they always say, but they were saying, thank you for coming, you got to record that song. And I said, oh, well, thank you, I'm glad you liked it, but I'm not going to record it. Number one, it was almost 5 minutes long, and radio does not play songs that long. And number two, I didn't want anyone to hear that song and not know me. I didn't want anyone to hear it and not know my history with you folks.
I feel that.
And I just didn't want to be that girl. I didn't want to be that artist that somebody thought, is she exploiting the situation? Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm skeptical at some of the things entertainers do. I question their motives. And I know a lot of people are patriotic, but I keep an eye on stuff, you know? And another reason why I wouldn't record the song is because this. Every time, if it were to get played on the radio, the writer gets paid, the songwriter gets paid every single time a song plays on the radio. And I wrote the song. And I thought, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to make money off of a song that supports the troops. No way. So we continued the tour, and I think we played 7 or 8 shows in country. And we played a place called Fob Summerall. Okay, Fob Summerall. I didn't know what FOB meant at the time. I now know it stands for Forward Operating Base, but once I got there, I realized it meant hot as hell, peeing in a porta potty, and rotten, stinking food. That's what FOB really stands for. They don't tell you that's what it means. But I was excited to be there because it was the home of the Big Red One at that time. And again, my grandfather was in the Big Red One, so I thought, this is cool. I get a chance to pay homage to my grandfather, you know. Sergeant Harold Henry was my grandfather's name, and this is a big deal to get to come here and play for the new Big Red One guys. So we did the show, and after the show, a young man in his BDUs just looked just like you. Walked through the autograph line, and on his BDUs it said, Henry. And I said, and remember, my grandfather's name was Harold Henry. I said, dude, we could be cousins. He said, don't say that, I won't be able to ask you out. I said, if we move to Kentucky, you can.
Oh shit, my girlfriend's from Kentucky.
So we said hi and visited just a little bit, and his hometown was Apollo, Pennsylvania. And he and Lonnie talked a little bit, and I'm sure there were some Pittsburgh Steelers comments floating around. And in general, we hung out with Josh like we do with everybody. Josh Henry was just like everybody there. He was there just to have some fun and let go. He wasn't a country fan. His mom was. But we enjoyed it. We loved it.
Got a good memory.
The next day we got on 2 Black Hawk helicopters and headed off to Camp Taji. You guys know where that is. And as we landed, Judy Seal got the phone call from Bob Summerall, from our friend Kyle McClelland, whom we had spent the past 48 hours with. We got the call that Josh Henry had been killed. And boy, wow, it got really real to us. I don't have to tell you guys that. You know it, you live it, but we dumb civilians, we really don't get it. There's no way we can understand it. Micah said it earlier. He said, I understand it as much as I can. And that's the very best we can do. But I'll tell you what, knowing that we had spent the last day of Josh Henry's life with him just brought us right up to the peak of reality. It got real for us. And I have had no greater honor in my life than knowing that I got to be a part of bringing a little bit of fun and a little bit of relief and a little bit of home and hopefully a couple of laughs to a soldier on his last night. Got back to Nashville, and although I'd said I wouldn't record that song, so many, I mean a couple of thousand people I'd met in that past week said, you know what, if you don't record it and put it out on the radio, record it, send it back to us so we can have it on Baghdad AFN. And that combined with the fact that the experience with Josh was so heavy and so emotional, I did that. I got back to Nashville. Lonnie was with me that day in the studio. We went in and made a recording, a simple little recording with a piano, a mandolin, and my vocal. And we sent it back to Baghdad AFN. I felt so relieved. I kept a promise to so many amazing young men and women, and some of the old ones too. A week later, I was walking the streets in New York, and my phone rang. My cell phone rang, and it was a radio station in Florida. And the disc jockey said, Shell, can we go live on the air? I said, why? I didn't have a record out at the time. He said, this song is blowing up our phone lines. I said, what song are you talking about? He said, the bumper of my S.U.V is our #1 requested song. This was a big radio station down there, you guys. What had happened was a soldier had gone to Baghdad AFN, made a copy of the song, emailed it back to his mother. She made a copy. She took it to that radio station. They played it. The phones lit up. That station emailed it to WMZQ in Washington, D.C. Wow. They emailed it back to Nashville. This song started bouncing around coast to coast, and it started to climb the charts, and it became a hit. It got weird. It doesn't happen like that in entertainment.
No.
So then Walmart called me. Not Walmart in Dixon, Tennessee. Not Walmart in Erie, PA. Bentonville, Arkansas, the headquarters of Walmart. The head guy at Walmart called, and I already had a relationship with them. We knew one another. He said, Shelley, people coast to coast are trying to buy this song in Walmart. We got to have it. And remember, that was my biggest fear, that money was going to be made. So I called Judy at Stars for Stripes, and we set it up to where the money, the profits from that song, were given to Stars for Stripes to take entertainment to the troops. And the weirdest thing happened, you guys. That song became the #1 selling single out of Nashville in that year. It was the craziest thing. Wow. And I brag about those statistics, not to brag about the song or me, but I think it's important that so many people connected to that song. And I think it's because so many of us, no matter what we feel politically, or God knows what's going on with people think so far, the gamut is unbelievable what people think. But I think the one thing we all want to say to you guys and gals is that as long as there are boots on the ground and boots in the air in dangerous places like Iraq, Afghanistan, the DMZ, anywhere, we want to say thank you. So this song is a manifestation of how I feel. It's true. Every line of it is true. And it's been a real great gift in my life. And this song is dedicated to you tonight.
Woo. Yeah, that's emotional, right? I'll say this, she's genuine though. And may it could be the environment that she's in, but there's more to it, way more to it than that. You can't fake that kind of genuineness, you know. It's like she said, she's got her eyes out for people where she questions their motives as far as why they're doing a song. And it's easy to question people. I generally don't. To being somewhat out of balance in this regard, where I tend to believe in people and take them at face value, and I don't read negatively into things. I don't want to. I'm not that. It's just not me, you know. And at times, I wish I had that a little bit more suspicion of others. But I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. I don't like having those thoughts in my head. And if I get smoked by somebody because I trust them when I shouldn't, that's the way I choose to live. I don't want to get smoked by somebody. Um, and but you know, she is of the same stamp in that regard. But extraordinarily articulate, caring, feeling. Um, I would have a thought in my head, and she'd go there. And so that's how you know you're on a similar wavelength as another person. And it doesn't make them better or worse than anyone else on planet Earth. It doesn't. It just means you're on the same wavelength, and that's going to happen a few times in your year. But this was a gorgeous presentation and a gorgeous recapturing of her story. She'd probably told that story before, but I love her ideals. I love what she stands for, how she presents it. She covered the bases that just make this a beautiful. I mean, I got teary-eyed. And then in the end, then she got teary-eyed, and it made it harder for me to speak. So, Jeff, I don't know how you find this stuff, man. You're such a good dude, and I'm just thankful to have met you and known you through the channel and your life story in radio. But that's probably how you know of her, because you've been in radio for at least 4 decades, I think. So, of course, you come across folks like this. And that's one of the benefits of your work. So I'm not rating that, folks. Again, if I were to rate this performance, it would be a 50, but I'm not. Performance, that's not even the right word, but this presentation, it's appropriate for July 4th. It's coming up as well, but it'll go up before then. So if you didn't hear the song that I did, which I reacted to the song right before this, check that out and you'll see why this presentation here was so poignant. So, as was the song, and it had the piano in it. And I always say, piano, poignant, because that's what you get. At a 95% of country songs with a piano in it is poignancy. So, there you go. Have a great day, folks. Thank you to everybody who has served or who is serving who might see this. And I honor and appreciate you extraordinarily so, because I do not lose sight of the fact that we are in the land of milk and honey and great safety as well. That's part of it. Why we have milk and honey? Because of safety. Thank you. Have a great day. I'll see you on another video. Keep rocking the country.